Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are in podcast land. Brendan Cunningham, the real estate doctor, here with
How you doing?
that guy, Matt Paul. We're going to talk about it all. You know what? Because we're those
Those
real estate
realtors.
guys. All right, we have a special guest with us. Mayoral candidate Michael Gaynor. He's going to do the full Gaynor for you. Now,
That's right.
why do we have a politician on the show today? Because you know what? Politics, whether we like it or not, does affect real estate values, real estate marketing. It's part of the big picture. And Michael's here today because if you're in Buffalo, New York, the city, you'll know we have a mayoral race right now. I have a concern only because it reminds me of the days of Tammany Hall when they said, listen, we don't care who these people vote for as long as we get to pick the candidates. And there's much truth to that. We've had a Democratic regime, and I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican, you can't have the same guys in for almost 70 freaking years.
Yes.
It's just wrong. It's talking about tired blood, like the Geritol commercials.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. You got to have some fresh voices. We have Ryan and Scanlon, I think, are the only two.
Scanlon's out.
James Gardner and Sean Ryan and myself, Michael Gaynor. Those are
Okay.
the only three candidates currently.
This is an independent. I thought it would be refreshing to have another voice tell us what he thinks is the right approach to managing the city and its issues and its challenges. And Michael Gaynor is going to give us the full Gaynor, not the half Gaynor.
No,
right?
no. It's going to be the full deal.
And he did meet all of our booking requirements
That's what you're in.
because we did say, now listen, you do have a beard because you got to have a beard to be on the show.
Yeah.
He's got one.
Right.
Okay.
I was like,
You
give
made
me a
the-
week. I'll
you
take
made
care of
the
it.
We have
Frog. Get the
fraud. Give a BYOB policy. Bring your own beard.
Yes. Yep.
Michael Gaynor, take it away. Why are you running for mayor?
Well, I'll start by saying you still haven't had a politician on here yet because I've never had a role in politics other than being a committee person in my local district. But I am a person that's been actively involved in the neighborhood for the last 20 years, and someone that's actively been trying to wrap my head around some of the problems that have confronted this city. When I first got here, we were facing, at the time, Byron Brown's first administration. He was talking about his big vision for Buffalo, which was to tear down 10,000 houses in 10 years.
Yep. The
So
zombie homes.
instead of addressing proactively the issues of vacancy and trying to figure out, hey, how do we bring more people to Buffalo? How do we improve the quality of life in those neighborhoods? The vision was, we're just going to tear down a bunch. So I started an organization with an amazing team of people. And what we set out to do was to recycle building parts that would otherwise have ended up in the landfill and open a low-cost building supply store on the east side of Buffalo. We used that as a vehicle to train young people. We used it as an opportunity to educate the community about how to make improvements to their homes, how to strengthen neighborhoods, how to put things back when the driving status quo is just taking things away. And that's what I've been doing. We also founded the Foundry, which was an artisan small business incubator space where we're supporting small and medium-sized businesses. I think that is the lifeblood of our economy. We're not a manufacturing community anymore, but our small and our medium-sized businesses are force. And then I've been an active member in my community. So like those are the things that I've been doing for 20 years. If I don't get elected mayor, I'm going to continue to do that work actively in the community. But I believe that people are sick and tired of the same old from our political leadership.
Agreed.
You know, it's a chess match.
Yep.
Like you'll see if you look at the political landscape, fewer and fewer opportunities where there's an open seat for an election. What happens is the party will use its position to move people around, and people leave their office before they finish their term, and then they will bring someone up from inside the party to take that position, and now they're running on 6 months, a year and a half of incumbency.
That's what
And
we
we
just saw.
know,
Yep.
we know in the state of New York that incumbents win 90% of the time. So we for the first time in over 20 years have an open election where there isn't an incumbent, where there's an opportunity for new ideas and new energy, and where hopefully, the community will embrace the opportunity of having someone that has a fresh perspective, that's determined and focused on doing real work, that isn't distracted by a political future, but is focused first and foremost on strengthening neighborhoods and building this community.
And I think it's also important that you're not a career politician, that you're coming at it from a business owner point of view. And
You actually have a
employer.
job.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yep.
And that's, I mean,
You
I
already
love-
are managing a budget, people, and everything else that goes with the challenges of owning
Yeah,
a business.
I tell people every day, I've got 8 years because we're going to pass term limits. I think
which is
having
a
a
wonderful thing.
Yes.
having a mayor that's in office, or having a president, or having a congressperson that's in office for 15, 20, 30 years, it's counterproductive
It's not healthy.
to helping our region move forward. So you're going to see me for 8 years in government, and then you're not going to see me anymore.
Yep.
It's not a stepping stone for me to Congress or to president or to anything like that. What I'm committed to is strengthening my neighborhood, seeing the city of Buffalo prosper, seeing it, fulfill its potential.
Yep.
Like when I came here, I was drawn to this community and I saw so much potential. I came here back in 2005. Yes, my 20-year anniversary here in Buffalo. And, it was a time when things were just starting to
What brought you?
show some liveliness. It was just luck, to be honest.
Okay, it was kind of luck for me,
I
too.
grew up in Erie,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. At that time, we were having some issues with my brother back in Erie, and I wanted to be closer to my family. I was previously living in Boston, and 7 or 8 hours when there's crisis in your family is just too far.
Too far. Yep.
So it was like, I'm going to either live in Buffalo, I'm going to live in Cleveland, I'm going to live in Pittsburgh, all within 2 hours of Erie. And I landed here first, took a bus down Genesee Street from the airport, landed at Spot Coffee downtown, picked up a copy of the Art Voice, spent the next 4 hours walking the streets through the Elmwood Village and Grant Street, Niagara. And I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I'm moving to Buffalo.
Oh, cool.
It was just that spirit. And you guys
Yeah.
know this,
Oh, yeah.
just working in real estate of, as soon as you tell people I'm thinking about moving to Buffalo, they're like, you are? Well, we got to show you this. Let me take you on a tour of my
Yeah,
neighborhood.
I do that.
I haven't had a woman
I
say
do
to me, you don't know where you're going to live with? Well, just live with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe we should talk to your husband first.
Yeah. True city of good neighbors, right?
So yeah, so that night I met her husband at Hardware, and a week later I was in Buffalo.
Wow.
So like that's how things happen here, and that's the spirit that when people visit here, they feel and they want to be part of this community. But you guys have all been driving down Main Street. You see that big mural, "Keep Buffalo a Secret."
yeah.
I'm like,
No.
forget that.
Yeah.
Let's tell the world about Buffalo, because the reason we're in the financial situation that we're in is because we have a city that's large, we have expenses that keep growing, and we have a population that is leveled off or has been declining
Yeah.
for decades.
Yes.
So how do we get out of that? We bring more people to
Need
Buffalo.
to act
We're going to
clear.
grow the city 50,000 people in the next 10 years.
Right.
And that will be a transformation in terms of the financial situation and financial, projections for the city to have more people here starting businesses, investing in housing, right? Growing our neighborhood, increasing the valuation of our neighborhoods,
Yep.
right? So I say, tell the world about Buffalo. The 9 million tourists a year drive right by our back door to go to Niagara Falls,
Yeah.
Yes.
USA.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about Canada.
Yep.
These are tourists that go to Niagara Falls, USA. And very rarely do they stop in Buffalo. If we can get half of those tourists to spend one day in Buffalo, that's an additional $1.5 billion in tourism.
Wow.
And that's money that goes into our downtown restaurants and shops and businesses, and invest that energy and those financial resources into our communities, into our hotels. It makes a transformational difference.
Back
But
into
you
our
need to
infrastructure
get
as
people
well.
excited about it. You've got to tell the world. And I actually just saw an editorial last week to the much to my happiness that Visit Buffalo Niagara has a new campaign where they're going to start projecting and doing a marketing strategy to the whole region,
Oh, good.
right? And to the country, a national campaign to bring people to Buffalo.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
That's what it's about. That's how we grow our city. And that's just one, leg on the stool of our campaign. But, the more people we get engaged, excited, invited to come here to set up shop, then we start to address the structural deficits that we have
Yeah.
in our financial picture.
Yeah. And
And start to
infrastructure.
plan for the future.
That's great. Yeah.
Day one, you're elected. What do you do?
Well, my day one has already started. I'll tell you that, because the last 6 months and leading right up to the election on November 4th, and then from November 4th until Inauguration Day, what I've been doing is assembling a team.
Good.
And when I say a team, I don't have a party to lean on. I don't have political favors.
You're an
you're an
independent.
I'm an independent.
Okay.
Restore Buffalo party line that I created with Betty Jean Grant on the east side of Buffalo to just get me on the ballot for November so that I can talk about an agenda that works for Buffalo. I don't need an agenda for a party or the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or whatever party you're part of. I want an agenda that addresses and speaks to the needs of this community. That's what we need. That's what we need to be focused on. So I've been building a world-class leadership team. I don't have a party that I owe anything to or people that I owe favors to. I'm my own person.
That's good.
And because of that, everybody is willing to sit at the table and talk about it. There's people right now that want to contribute, all right, both locally and regionally to support Buffalo, but feel like for far too long they've been on the outside looking in. Just like many of the people that I talk to on the streets at night feel like. They feel like government's inaccessible. They feel like it doesn't matter who they vote for, nothing's going to change. There's some apathy. There's just, people are discouraged. They're frustrated with the lack of vision, with the lack of leadership. So what we do and how we change that, right, is giving people hope that it can be different, because we're going to bring a new energy and new blood to the leadership team, people that are focused exclusively on how to grow this region and how to strengthen what we have here already.
Sounds like that's the only way to get it done.
Let me ask you. So this is not about Trump, but I think one of the reasons why Trump continues to have some issues is in many respects he's treated as an outsider.
Right.
Okay. I think as soon as he came down the escalator, everyone hated him.
Yeah.
The day before, every black leader was shaking his hand. This is the best guy. But now he's an outsider. You're an outsider. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Going to be the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, same thing in terms
Well, in terms of being, you're going to be. No one wants to cooperate with you. People are going to try.
No, I don't think that's the case at all, because I think that the way that I have conducted business is that and if you look, I started and had a leadership team when we founded Buffalo Reuse. That was 20 years ago. Those people are still working with me today.
And that business has grown and grown
And
and grown.
business has grown, and we've learned, and we've listened, and we've modified, and we've gotten better at what we do. And I think that people, when they get to know me and when they've worked with me and they sit down with me, the two things happen. Number one, I'm not somebody that I have ideas, I have passion, I have things that I think will be transformative for how to affect this community, but I don't know everything. I'm willing to listen to people. I don't know a lot about the real estate industry, so I'm willing to listen to,
It's the hottest market in America.
Yeah.
Here, Buffalo.
That I know. So like
According to Zillow.
that's really, really, great. But, listening to the people, and I often defer to the people that have been doing the work in the trenches for decades, right?
Good.
You go and you talk to the working people. You go and you talk to the sanitation workers on the street. You talk to the people in finance and City Hall. You talk to, your building inspector. And I've interfaced with all of these offices through my work. The Office of Real Estate, the Office of Permits and Inspections, Public Works, citizen services, because of all my community work and all my business work. So I know those communities well, and I've been engaging with them, and I can understand the struggle in their work, but also the opportunities. So like that's the difference between me and somebody else, is that I don't purport to know everything. I have ideas. I want to empower them in their workplace. I want to I do want to transform the culture, though. I want people to be more invested and bring a culture of care to the work that they do every day. They're public servants, right? And I don't know how many times I can tell you many times in my interactions with individuals out on the street or at City Hall, where I didn't feel like I was appreciated as a business person, as an individual, as a resident. And we need to change that. We need people to feel like City Hall is working for them, not just plowing the streets, but is responsive to the needs of small businesses.
Agreed.
I know many small businesses that were struggling on Main Street, downtown Buffalo, over the last 20 years that would have loved the opportunity to have access to City Hall. And maybe they couldn't have done a lot with resources, but opening doors, helping them to access grant opportunities or capital opportunities that they didn't know existed. Like those are the things that City Hall can do in terms of opening doors, and the things that we have to think about in terms of how to strengthen businesses and make them more vital and make them more robust here in the city.
Let me ask you two specific questions.
Sure.
They're talking about the 33. Let's cover it over and do it. What do you think?
I think that the DOT, I think, is doing a press conference today specific on this. I will tell you this: I've been opposed to the tunnel since day one.
I don't know who's in favor.
Nobody
other than
is.
other than government and
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and this is how it affects real estate, right? Because my daughter was on a podcast with me last week. Okay, she's 10 years old,
That's awesome.
and she recounted a story where we were heading downtown to meet with an architect at the Public Espresso downtown, the Hotel Lafayette,
Oh,
and we were running behind, and I jumped on the Kensington Expressway, and about 3/4 of the way down there, she turned to me and she's like, "Daddy, you're against the highway. You really shouldn't be using the Kensington Expressway because when you use it, you're supporting it."
Oh,
And I was like, profound.
yeah,
And then the next, I was like, "You're right, babe. But when it's there, people use it,
correct.
right?
Yep.
But before it was there, we had twice the population, and our city did pretty damn well because we have the best designed city in the world, right? We have all of these radial streets. Now, do they need help?
Yeah.
Yes. Do
Yeah.
they need investment? Of course.
Mhm.
But you know what? Surface level investments, ground level investments, timed light technology so people move efficiently like you do on Oak Street
Yep.
or
Yep.
Elm Street, moving up
Yeah.
in and out of downtown.
Yep.
That stuff can be implemented. And what will it mean for the east side of Buffalo? All right. If we have now cars on those commercial streets where right now we have none, well, I will tell you, it will mean an increase in investment. It will mean an increase in valuation. It'll mean an increase in business opportunities and job
Foot traffic,
opportunities
everything.
because you're going to foot traffic,
Yep.
right? Nobody on Elmwood, no business person on Elmwood or Hurdle or Niagara is complaining about cars.
Yeah.
You don't ever
No,
hear a business
ever.
person say.
No.
So put those cars where they were intended to be, on our commercial streets where they can support our local businesses. And then we're going to remove that section of highway. We're going to fully restore a park that should never have ever been there. And we're going to bring more tourists to see a landscape architectural treasure. You're going to have little horse and buggy rides from the Science Museum all the way to the Niagara River, right? And that's going to bring more attention to our arts and cultures community and this and that. And it's a lot cheaper. All right, here's the deal. Tomorrow, if we decided we're not going to do anything, don't do anything. Just keep it the same as it is. Fine. You know how much it's going to cost us still to keep it the same because the walls are crumbling,
It needs
the
work.
highway, the
It needs
bridge.
work, yeah.
It's 10 years, almost 20 years
Yeah,
past
it
its
needs work.
lifespan.
Wow.
$800 to $1 billion just to fix
To
and
keep it.
replace what's there.
To keep the bad.
So look at what they're doing in Rochester. Look at what they're doing in Syracuse. Look at what they're doing in Milwaukee. They're removing highways and downtown urban districts. Why? Because A, the land is valuable. B, they have negative health outcomes, and they divert energy and from commercial corridors, and they divide neighborhoods. You talk about real estate, right? You talk about how the East Side has been devalued for decades. Now you remove a barrier, a physical barrier that literally divides the city, right? And I'm telling you that in 5 years, we're not going to be talking about how to attract investment to the East Side. We're going to talk about how we have to control it and manage it so that we're not displacing people that have been there for decades. That's going to be our challenge. And we're going to do it on the backs of a vision for how to improve and strengthen the entire city. And what you're going to see is real estate, right? Opening up on the East Side like we've never seen it before. And businesses speculating and buying commercial buildings and investing in commercial buildings where now they lie vacant. Okay. Or if they even exist.
Yeah.
Because many of them have been torn down.
Yes.
So those are the things that we need to think about in terms of the big picture on how we do it.
Okay. Michael Gaynor, independent candidate for mayor of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Final words.
Final words are,
how do we get a hold of you? What do you need us to do?
MichaelGaynorForMayor.com. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We have a website. You can go on there. We are a nimble financial entity. We are mostly getting the word out through social media, through boots on the ground, through forums, through podcasts, through talking directly with people all across the city. Because if people show up on November 4th, we win this election. I tell people in my neighborhood, I have an East Side bias. I've been on the East Side for 20 years on Northampton Street. And I tell them, if the East Side shows up in this election, we win.
Yeah, because what's a normal show up?
40%.
It's like 20%.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, the primary was barely 20%.
Yeah,
the last election was barely 50%, I
Yeah.
think, in the general.
That's big.
And it's because people haven't had anybody to vote for.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're playing games with politics, they call them politricks, right, on the street, then people feel like, why should I bother? Because it doesn't really matter who gets in there. They're just they have their own agenda and they don't care about the needs of my community. And we got to change that narrative. Michael Gaynor from mayor.com.
Michael Gaynor from mayor.com.
And I always say, vote for Gaynor. It's a no-brainer.
That's a good one. That's a real good one. I like
And you know,
that.
we have an open invitation to all the other candidates if they want to come in and talk to us, for sure. Because this is a big change coming in our
Which is
town.
much needed.
So,
Absolutely.
without further ado, Matt
Yeah.
Paul, Brendan Cunningham, the real estate doctor.
Right.
Those real estate guys.
Yeah. Please
Thank-
like, follow, subscribe. Thank you for tuning into our show. Let us know if there's anything you want us to address.
Thank you.
Michael. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Take care.
So much.
Good man.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot.